Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, certification of compliance.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go to meeting agenda.
Roll call?
Pardon?
Roll call?
Oh, roll call. Okay.
Tom Duffy?
Here.
John Righeimer?
Here.
Stacy Hessel?
Here.
Brian Bissonette? Chris Rusk?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, then let's see. The meeting agenda has been set. Anybody have any additions or corrections to the agenda? And hearing none, we'll move on then to public comments. Linda, you're on.
Linda Zilmer, resident of the Village of Birchwood, Edgewater property owner. And my public comment today is a reminder to some of the members of this committee who were on the committee in 2018, 2019, when Troy Morgan was a member. And one of the things that I had asked the county to pick up on, and Troy had an interest in, was picking up on the historical marker on Highway 27 at Windigo Lake. That marker marks a portage, so it has cultural and historical significance for LCO. It also is kind of an interesting stop for tourists in the area. And at the time Troy and I were doing our homework, Troy had contacted the State Historical Society and found that the Sawyer County Historical Society was the sponsor to get that sign up, but then afterwards it was never maintained. And then when we had contacted the Historical Society, no one currently at that time even realized that that historical marker was a responsibility of the Historical Society. So yeah, as all that was happening, then Troy was diagnosed and he subsequently passed. But I would like to see if this committee would put a future agenda item in time to put some money in the 2024 budget to at least get that historical marker area cleaned up. It might just be labor on the part of county employees, but I think it's significant, and it would, like I said, it would benefit the tribe, the county history, as well as tourism. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Linda. Anybody else online, Linda?
No, but Mr. Bissonette has joined online.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's then go to the consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting. You've all been provided with a copy.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Very well. It's carried. Okay, then moving on to the Sawyer County Fair. I assume, Lynn, do you have any comments about that, Stacy?
I think that it was a success, and then,
Sorry, I think the fair was a success from what I understood. People were really happy with it. They rent out their facilities. So this weekend, Saturday, is the Lions Oktoberfest. And so then that's Saturday, September 16th at the fairgrounds. I don't have an update otherwise.
Is there going to be a fundraiser then?
So it's a fundraiser for the Lions Club.
Okay,
So they're serving food, and they've done this, I think, the last couple of years, but it's not associated with the fair. It's just at the fairgrounds. So that's the only update that I have.
but the fairgrounds, they also have a fundraiser sometime, don't they?
They have had a fundraiser. They've changed it. Sometimes it's in January. Sometimes it's been in May. So I don't know.
But it'd be nice to know financially whether they made it or they didn't make it or whatever.
I think we would have heard from them if they didn't make it. So
Okay. Okay, let's move on then to the University of Wisconsin. Lori. Morning.
Police collection is this Wednesday. If you have things that you need to drop off, that's from 2 to 6. And I wanted to just give you, today I handed out something specifically from Barron County. This is from the educator who's the Human Development and Relationships educator in Barron. And you might be asking, well, why in the world would you share things from Barron County? But what the beauty of it is that I believe everything that is all the sorry, all the copies of things that I gave you are really programs that are Missy is able to offer through Zoom. And so that's the beauty of Connections in Area 2, is that the things that she's offering, Sawyer County can also benefit from. You do not have a human development and relationships educator here in Sawyer County. That used to be kind of my role before I moved into this role, and then it wasn't refunded. So we're trying to work smarter and more efficient. And so I wanted to make sure you had some information of some of the great parenting kind of programs that are happening through Barron County, but also available throughout the state. So the first one, of course, is really just focused on fathers and the father's role. And so Missy has been doing some great work with that. Resilient parenting, this program came a little bit out of when parents get divorced, they have to go through a co-parenting class through the court system usually. Missy also offers that, but then sometimes it's like, well, it's not just the people who are getting divorced who need to know a little bit more about co-parenting. So she created this resilient co-parenting class. A new one she's doing is the Strong Couples program. That's for anyone really who is looking to become a stronger couple. And so you can see it's 6 sessions online, video calls, and again, all of these programs, well, most of the programs are free. And so she is a Strong Couples coach and able to offer that kind of programming as well. And then the Parents Forever class is the next sheet, which is that co-parenting class that I mentioned. Again, I used to do that class around here. I think Joey Johnson still might do some of that class through the court system too, but there's just an opportunity to be able to do that as well if they can't make the classes that are available here. And then some parenting, additional parenting classes, as well as the Triple P, I think, as well. So again, just letting you know that there are some other programs that are happening, even when you don't have an educator here on staff, that we're able to share. And we might say, well, why? Why would Barron want to help us out? But the beauty of offering it to other counties is that if it's only one county, then sometimes there are only a couple people that sign up for the program. And then the program has to get canceled because there aren't enough, usually we say at least 5 participants. So when we're able to extend it and kind of market it a little bit wider, then there's a lot more chance for a program to actually happen. So Missy would prefer to have more people in her class than have to cancel a class. So that's part of the good reason that she's extending that offer to us as well. With that too, there is, I think Andy's aware of this too, there's a hope out there that we move to a state support position. I think I've mentioned a couple of times to this committee that the supports that we have available in Sawyer County are a little less than desired of the availability of people. And so we're really trying to think creatively, like maybe there's some efficiencies with that as well. So having one person that's kind of the marketing and communications person, as well as the some help with for Donna's programming, as well as Riga's programming, to create some efficiencies that if you have to learn 4-H online, why not serve more than one county? If you have to learn kind of how to maintain our websites, why not serve more than one county? And so we're trying to create those efficiencies by offering one state support staff person that's shared among all the 5 counties that kind of come under my jurisdiction. So Barron, Burnett, Rusk, Sawyer, and Washburn. Barron, a week ago, tomorrow, agreed to pay for the position, 40% of the position. That's what I felt like was a little bit more realistic because their 4-H program is probably 3 or 4 times the size of all my other counties. And so they're in for 40% of the position. Washburn County is in for their part. And so we're waiting to see if Sawyer and Burnett might be part of that club. I haven't asked Rusk. They marched to a different beat and have some other support already in place there. So that's what we'll be talking about, of trying to create some efficiencies and some good support for your educators. Any questions?
I have one. So when you said that the funding got cut for that position, was that through the state or through the county that the funding got cut?
For my old position,
Mhm.
through the county.
Okay.
All right. Good, Laurie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on then to Hayward Lakes. Sherry. Good morning.
So I just put together a little recap of how the summer went with some of the marketing things that we did. Discover Wisconsin was here, capturing some river kayaking, golf, things to do, ATVing, and we did some history. We could do this because we partnered with Nelson Lake Resort Association. And I know you guys know how hefty those Discover Wisconsin episodes are, or Andy does. We also knew this year was Fox 47. We had them come and they did this great outdoors campaign, and that just started. So that will be August through January. So we've already had great response from that. The highest Facebook page we had post where we had a lot of interaction was, what's your favorite lake? So people hop on there and tell us. Facebook was up 8% from a year ago, and Instagram was up 18% from a year ago. So social media is still very interesting to our people who follow Hayward Lakes. YouTube videos were up also from last year, with the number one thing being Lumberjack World Championships, places to stay, and then ATV, and we're the top 3. I did want to sneak in there that LWC is having new dates in 2024. It's going to be in August, just so everyone knows. We're going to get the word out way early, so people don't make the reservations and then find out it's in August. Top performing pages for our website are events, webcam, activities, ATV trails, where to eat, outdoor report, where to stay, and fishing, and then golf. We had Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez here last week. We had a nice turnout. And then there's a ride safety event that we've been involved in that will be this Friday. And that's just kind of teaching kids how to wear helmets correctly, and I think Stacy's involved in that, yeah. So then the things that we did with the Department of Tourism is Mindy wrote her first grant and got it for $3,000 to help with some different things with the information center. We also did the Des Moines and Cedar Rapids road trip and segment, and that was with funds that the Department of Tourism helped us with. Fall color tour is in full swing now, so we do that. We have some nice social media posts that will be hitting the calendar here in the next couple weeks. And then we did an ATV email on August 24th, and that was the highest spike on our website for activity this summer. And then some of the things we're doing for the fall. We're doing some direct email. Then the vacation guide, we had a photo cover contest. Now, when I submitted the report to Lynn, we had a smaller amount. We did end up with 364 photos. So that really helps us, because then we can use that for social media. We can use it for our new vacation guide. It's really nice to get those photos for free. Again, our first proofing dates for the vacation guide will be October 10th and 11th. And then it goes to the printer on the 31st with delivery of the new book already the first week of December. The information center, so we finally got our roof replaced. We repainted the welcome sign. Now we're waiting for quotes on the siding. I don't know if you've looked at our building lately, but it's 32 years old and the boards are starting to rot because we have like cedar boards. But most contractors are out 2 to 3 years. So we're just trying to find somebody. If you know anybody, send them our way. And some of the other committees that are right now in full swing is the Namakogon River. I'm on that committee, ITBEC, and then the Governor's Fishing Opener. And then I've got some free PR that we got over the summer. And then this was for Chris. He asked me a couple months ago about ATVing and if we knew the number of people who actually brought their ATVs and parked them at the hotels and stuff. And that's really a hard thing to track. A lot of the hotels don't really know who's bringing an ATV unless they stood out and counted, and everyone's kind of short staffed. So What I did was our SCM, and you can see from here that ATV Trail Maps was the number one words that were requested off of the internet this summer. So I just keep expressing how ATVing is so important. And then the bigger the word, the more activity it had, and then the smaller the word. And I have, if you guys want me to hand that out to you, I can. I don't know if Chris can see that. So anyway, that's all I have.
Good. Any questions? John?
Where's Fox 47 out of? What city?
Madison.
Madison. Okay.
It seems like this summer is busier than ever. I mean, I don't know how you have a read on that, but
You know, with talking to members, it sounds like it's really good. I really love to get my room tax numbers, but I haven't gotten any yet. That will be through June that I will get here in the next couple weeks. Yeah, I like to have solid numbers, but yes, it sounds like it's been a very good summer.
good. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, good. Thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Sherry? Okay, Northwest Regional from Sheldon, no reports.
I spent some time with Sheldon last week. He had something come up. He couldn't be here today, but he did say that one of the things we use the planning commission for is the loan funds for the businesses. So we're part of the Northwest Regional Economic Development Fund. Ken Pearson, who was the loan officer for that, left, and they have hired now and filled that. So I know who's filling it, but I didn't tell him if that's public yet. So I'm just going to keep the name to myself.
How about his budget? Does he have more money than
Their
last
budget,
year?
I don't know about their overall budget, but as far as their assessment to the counties,
Yeah.
we all pay a portion based on equalized value. That's staying pretty flat.
Yeah.
The amount they levy to the counties usually doesn't change very much. They're supported by administration of their programs and the grant funding they get.
Any new programs here in Surrey County? And loans?
Let me think. No, the last month there was not any new loans.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Any questions, guys? Nope. Okay, let's move on then to the library update. Oh, first of all, economic development.
I have a report, but I have to. Bring my glasses. So
You want them to use mine?
I think I can get through it. I know, that's what I was doing. Okay, so the president Monica Johnson sent me the update, and she said last month members attended a Winning with Wisconsin Workforce at LCO University put on by WEDC. This meeting included business representatives, community leaders, and workforce development professionals discussing strategies to promote workforce participation, such as apprenticeships, teen employment, work opportunities for people with disability, and job center resources. They also, the administrative staff, wrote a letter of support for a grant for the winter mural project. I believe that's being put on the depot. And then the executive director position remains unfilled, but we are looking forward to filling the position soon. Our volunteer board continues to fill in and work on our projects and initiatives. There is positive movement on the Impact 7 Northwoods Tech Workforce Housing Project. We are looking forward to receiving a draft of the updated Sawyer County Housing Study from UW Extension this month. Our board is working with the Entrepreneur Fund for our Sawyer County Social Learning Series focused on succession planning for business owners. And they did submit the 2023 budget that stayed the same for 2024.
And is the executive director, is that a full-time job?
That is a full-time job. It's like 2/3 time. So they split it
Okay.
based
What are you
on
looking at for a
projects.
salary for that?
I believe she put out there $48,000, but with incentive to make more based on job performance, things of that nature.
And does that salary interest people or?
Apparently not, because we've been looking for somebody to fill that spot since March.
So what do you,
40 hours a week, is it?
It doesn't have to be 40 hours a week. No.
so what do you plan to do to entice more people to apply or how?
I don't
how do you
think
move forward?
I don't think we can make anybody work right now. That's the problem. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just the opportunity isn't there. I'm not sure. I know that their marketing efforts for the executive director position have been great. I've seen some of their efforts, but they're just not getting the applicants.
So how does that limit what you do?
Well, then it limits because we're all working and the executive committee is working. So anytime that we can give volunteering is what's been running the LCO Sawyer County EDC. So it's just volunteer basis at this point until we get a hired position.
Well, good luck. You know?
So if you know anybody, please send them to Monica Johnson. That'd be great.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Then I guess we're going to the libraries. Molly, you want to start out?
So there's some good news and bad news as usual. The good news is that 100 Who Care, which is a community foundation I found out about earlier this year, they donate. It's kind of complicated if you haven't looked into it, but they donate to 501c3 nonprofits. And my Friends of the Library is one of those who's on the docket for September 21st, but with some worthy competitors. So that would, if that comes through, that would mean $10,000 to the Friends of the Library. And they can, although they exist to help the library, it kind of depends on who's president and the officers and how much that they do donate to the library. But I'm really hoping it happens because we also found out this year as we checked the windows around the building that there is either something wrong with the way the windows were originally installed, and I have called Rice Lake Glass and Door to come and look at them, or there's something wrong with the ventilation system. So of course, just as it happens in this world, the glass and door people think it's the ventilation system, and we haven't had a full review yet of that, but I think it's a combination of both. So we'll see what happens with that, but the $10,000 would end up inevitably replacing one of those two things, whatever it happens to be wrong with the building. There are cracks under each window in the wall, and we're just afraid that water has seeped in through the wall. So we're checking into that. Let's see. I'm still waiting to hear from Lori's people. And is it Barron County I was talking to about the Ashland? Okay. We're still waiting to find out if our library or Northwest Connections Family Resource Center will be the spot to do the communications between people who are incarcerated and their family members. We would, we have a couple of computers with cameras so they could have Zoom meetings. Both of us talked about that, which is a really good thing. And then a little more lighthearted, and my assistant director, Ann, has named a program Getting Squirrely, which I think is just encouraging children in the children's room to go nuts. But it's one of the programs she has on the inside and the out, which are basically scavenger hunts, and kids really eat those up. So we've got one for the nature trail and one for indoors, depending on how the weather holds up. And on the 21st, I'm on a committee with the Hayward Library Foundation to put on a reception, just an appreciation reception for major donors to encourage them to do so again, hopefully. And although we will not bring that up that night, it's purely appreciation. And we're keeping it simple, but it'll be nice. It'll be nice to give them a big thanks. And let's see, the other page shows the difference between our 2023 summer reading program and the previous year. And the This reproduction is a little bit hard to read whenever I scan things, so I apologize for that. But we had a 44% increase in people, the families and children participating in summer reading. That's pretty good, 44%. And we're really happy that people are coming back in. And yeah, like their involvement with the online program, which enables them to register online and do a lot of things to streamline the process, went up 48%, things like that. If you get a chance to look at it, it's pretty promising that the library's being used increasingly. And does anybody have any questions at this point? Yes.
Who is the county rep and the city rep on your board?
Kay Wilson is our county rep, and Larry Nelson,
Okay.
city. So he just, I think last month with his first meeting. So I'm really happy we have a city rep.
And then second question, do you have a policy on content? Like, are you in charge of ordering the books, or do they just send them to you, the American Library Association? What happens there?
Oh, that's a good point, because also that reminded me of something I want to tell you. I have a cataloger who does the ordering based on professional reviews from about 3 different publications and Amazon. Amazon, I respect the library journals, which provide reviews a little bit more than Amazon, because Amazon's out there to sell, and we do have a policy, definitely have a policy on what books we order. And it would be interesting if I shared that with you. It's not that long, maybe next month, so you can see how we go about it.
Yeah, even if you want to email us, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, every library should have a collection development policy, for sure. Okay, anything else?
Good, thanks, Molly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now we go to Winter.
Well, our summer activities are winding down, but that doesn't mean that we're slowing down. We have a lot of fall activities coming up, but I wanted to go back and talk about last time, or all summer, I've talked about our fundraisers, because that's the time when we can reach beyond just our community for funders or for supporters. We had our duck race last weekend, and we raised $1,495, which might not seem like a lot, but when you're selling little plastic ducks to float down the river, it was a good fundraiser. 50% of the proceeds go to the first, second, and third place winners, and the rest the library is able to keep. And we're using those funds for our loan that we have. It's really a grant, but we got for our basement funding project. But we want to pay that off. We don't want that lien against our building. So with all the little fundraisers throughout the summer, we'll be able to send in a payment. We usually wait till after December of this year. We had a pop-up book sale. The community has a rummage sale, so we had a pop-up book sale to bring in extra funding. Our summer reading program, as Molly had said, I don't have statistics like Molly has, but we're seeing that families and the community are coming back into the libraries physically and participating in activities, events, and just, checking out materials, which is really good to see that the libraries are the community centers for a lot of the communities that we serve. I wanted to talk about our Pilcrow grant. That was the grant in which we were trying to raise 1/3 of the funding for the grant, and we don't get funds with that, we get books. So we were able to, within a week, raise the $400 needed for our portion, or our third of the grant. And I got a notice on Saturday that our 71 books will be mailed to us that go into the children's section and the young adult section. So I'm able to look at a book list and pick out what books
we would prefer for our library. Doesn't mean we always get them, depending on, the demand from other grant recipients. So we should have those in our hands this week. I believe they're supposed to be delivered Wednesday. I'll catalog them, and then we'll have an open house in which the community could come in and see the new additions to our library. Strong Bodies takes a break over the summertime. That's our senior strength building activity exercises that UW Extension FoodWise provides. It is something that people can do at home, but we have a group of people that like to do the Tuesday and Thursday morning exercises at the library. One, for the social part of it, to be accountability with each other. Plus, we have connectivity issues in winter. Right now, Norvato is going through and putting in fiber optics, which is great, but that, of course, is and it takes time to get all that in and get everything set up. So we're happy to have the library being used for that. Our after-school programming with the Winter School District will start, and then there's interest. We used to have a preschool story hour, and then it kind of faded away, and now we see interest again. So I have some people who are certified actually for 4K that are wanting to come into the library and do some preschool story hour programming. And wanted to talk about hotspots. Libraries were able to receive hotspots through an electronic funding connectivity grant. And our hotspots in the library, we have 2 of them, are off the shelves all the time. They're checked out to patrons. So it helps them connect when one Norvato is coming in, and sometimes fiber or whatever lines are in place get cut. So all of a sudden there's an outage. So we get hotspots used to help offset that, and plus to service those who just cannot connect to the internet. I think that's all I really had in my report. We have, like I said, activities and programs that we're constantly looking at putting into our library just to service the needs of both the young and the older population that utilize the library.
Okay, any questions? How about the vegetable garden?
Oh, yeah, you're right. So that is being harvested either this week or next week. It's whenever the 4th grade, 5th grade classes come down. They do the harvest, and they are going to prepare the vegetables, create a soup, and then we share that with the community.
You could have brought some vegetables to the board here, John.
We can't.
I do have a cute little story about that, though. It was so hot last week. We had over Labor Day weekend, some youth that were riding their bikes that helped planted the garden that were really worried about the vegetables. So they come, and I always have a watering hose out there. They watered it, and they did bring in 2 cucumbers. They were super excited, and they asked if they could take them home. It's like really cute. It's their little thing, but they are very careful about watching that garden to make sure that it's growing the way it's supposed to be and nobody's messing with it. So it is cute to see them happy
And
about
then
it.
how much did you make on the duck project?
So we $1,495. So $1,495, but half of that goes to the first, second, and third.
That was good.
So doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it's not a very
It all helps.
hard fundraiser, and every little bit helps, because it's really like last year we raised with just part of their fundraisers, $3,500 to send and pay off some of the loan. So all these little things do add up to, I think,
Good.
for as small as our community and library is, we're very
Okay,
grateful.
Any questions, board? No? All right, thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go on to the motorized trail report. And then you've got a report, have you, from Kathy? You want to read?
Yes, Kathy LaRue sent a very brief update saying that the Alliance is bringing a Ride Safe Foundation safety presentation to all Hayward youth at the high school this coming Thursday, the 14th. Their goal is to teach all youth to be safe around motorsports and wear the proper helmets and safety gear. And then Labor Day weekend kicks off with a very popular season for ATV riding, and they expect the trail system to be very, very busy for the fall.
Good. Okay, thank you. Okay, then to the non-motorized, we have a report from Ben Pop. Registration for the Brookie now is 11,000 people. They'll cap it at 13,000. This weekend is the Fat Tire race, which is about 3,000 racers. They start in Main Street in Hayward and go to Cable. Next weekend is the Berkey Trail Run, And that brings in about 1,500 racers. So things are kind of popping for the brookie. And that's kind of completes the report we have from Ben.
Jesse Diggins is coming.
And Jesse Diggins, for those of you who don't know, she's the one Olympian who's kind of won everything.
Yeah, she's really good.
And she's going to make it interesting, rather than race the brookie, she's going to start in the back and ski with all the
Well, she's more of a short
distance, but she's
distance, but she's gonna do the whole thing.
with that kind
She'll
of
crush
shape.
it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let's go on then to broadband update. Anything new, Andy?
Yeah, a few new things. So we have a broadband committee through the Economic Development Corporation. Right now, it's myself, Ed Peters, Leo Carlson from Novato, and Mark Lundeen from WOJB. So we've been just keeping in contact. We did set up a meeting with the providers last week. So we had a sit down with BevCom, which is in the southern part of the county, Mosaic, Novato, and Charter. There was a couple others invited that didn't sit in, but we wanted just to see where they were at as we get prepared for the BEAD funding that the state will be putting out at the end of the year. There's been a regional group that's kind of worked on some plans, and then they did some broadband workshops last week as well to get communities prepared for going after that funding. I know that we learned a lot from talking to those companies, except that they're all going to continue building their networks within the county. So as far as a broadband map, we did have them go through this with us. So what I put up on the screen is our broadband map, which right now is just based off of the grant dollars that the county has put forward, that those companies use to get the broadband grants from the state. We'll continue to fill this in, but what you see there is like the green on the left side of the screen is Mosaic's build from the Birchwood area on up to the west side of Grindstone. That southern part of that project is done, and they're finishing up kind of from the middle of or south of Sand Lake up to Grindstone. In the southern part of the county, that light green and yellow and pink is all of BevCom's build. So the green section, or the lighter green avocado color, is complete, and they're working on the yellow. And then the orange is Novato. So all the work around Hayward, town of Bass Lake, and kind of those spots up 63 are all complete. And I should say the companies kind of give us this information differently. BevCom kind of blocks off an area when they give us their mapping information, just to say that they're covering everything in that area. Novato kind of does it at the street level. You can kind of see how their network build goes along the corridors, and they gave us the mapping information by street. And right now they're working on that project on the east side. You heard that they're getting things put in place in winter. So they really built down from Bayfield County, and that kind of orange snakes through the east side of the county. And then it connects back up with their work in Price County. They bought Price County Telephone a few years ago. So they're be continuing to build off of that. The BEAD funding that's coming up, a good portion of the county is going to be eligible for that. That funding, as they're describing it, is really to start filling in some of the less dense gaps where it's maybe not as strong a business case. So it's, if you don't have multiple providers, or you don't have speeds up to a certain amount, there'll be some parameters on where they'll go. But just based on one of the providers showing us a map of where they think BEAD funding will be eligible, pretty much the whole middle section of the county is going to be eligible. Areas around Hayward are not going to be eligible because we have multiple providers here and have some pretty fast speeds. This map doesn't have, we've asked to get Charter's information to put on here, and CenturyLink / Brightspeed, as they're called. That would fill in a lot of the area that's in the middle of the county. But we just don't have that data yet. But all of these providers that are on here have indicated they're going to continue to build out as they can get the funding to do so. Town of Draper is not highlighted. That's all the town of Draper is covered by a project with LTD, which is now going by the name of GigFire. But I think we're in a good spot. I'll show you this other, just to show you what the PSC has mapped for the county. So this shows the entire county and what the state PSC has data from these providers. So you want to have your area colored in blue. The very lightest of the blues is 10 down, 1 up. And then the next shade is 25, 3. And then the really dark blue is 100. Is it 100 down and 20 up is minimum. So outside of our areas, down in the southeast portion where that's mainly state forest, and over to the east where you have a more state and county forest, you're not going to see those filled in for a little while. A good portion of our county is in the blue color that you want to see. 10-1 was the minimum speed probably 5 years ago or more than that when they did the federal CAF funding. Now any grants that come out, you have to at least do 25-3, and obviously 100 or more symmetrical service, 100 up and down is where ultimately would be the best. I mean, there are places that can offer you a gig, but there's not many households that need more than 100 download speed. But the upload speeds are becoming more important as you have the Internet of Things and whatever you have things in your home that are communicating with other systems. You want to have good upload speeds as well. It's not just downloading content anymore.
Well, looking forward, are we going to have enough state and federal funds to cover the whole county?
Well, I don't know about the funding, but in talking with the providers, the one thing that probably need to start talking about or not everybody is going to have service through like this is primarily fiber or fixed, either fixed wireless, but primarily it's fixed wired, either through fiber or coax that's connected to a fiber. But there are, especially when you get out into the rural areas, if you've chosen to live on a country road and you're a little bit, quarter or half mile off, you're probably going to end up with Starlink satellite or something that's, unless you want to pay for the bill to your house, because the providers are pretty honest. They're going to the places first. They have gone to the places first where there's more density because that's a higher return on investment for them. And so they are not going to go, unless they're heavily subsidized, into areas where there's not a return on investment.
How about LCO? How are they covered?
We've reached out to LCO to find out what they're doing. The last I heard, they were doing a feasibility study to possibly put their own network in place.
Okay.
But I have not heard where they came out on that. And again, I'll just share what I've heard. There are some providers that are a little nervous about going across the tribal boundaries or within them just because of the right-of-way issues.
Okay.
So I think that's something we want to on our list of things to communicate with LCO about is the internet.
Good. Any questions, you guys? Brian, do you have any questions or Chris?
I'm good.
Yes, not. Okay, good. Thanks, Andy. Let's move on to LCO update. Brian or Chris, do you guys have any information about the new medical center out there?
I have a little bit. Excuse me. A lot of the preliminary earthwork has been completed. They've done part of the prep work is the water and sewer. Rough ends have been installed. The footings have been poured. The basement walls have started to go up. So my responsibilities with the clinic project are in regards to the leasing. Right now, we're waiting on a certified survey of the parcel. And then from there, we generate a lease. I'm also working with both Jump River and Excel. We haven't determined who the electric service provider is going to be yet. I know that there's a LCO Health Advisory Board working with the LCO Health Center staff. Apparently, they're going to start a strategic plan. And as part of the process, they're seeking community input in planning for new or improved health services that are gonna go in the new clinic. So that's about all I have on that.
Are you going to have just a clinic, or are you going to have a hospital associated with it, or?
Well, it's a health center. From what I understand, no, it's not gonna be a hospital. It's gonna be, basically a state-of-the-art health center. I would assume that they're gonna have some kind of triage center there, for after-hour care. That's about all I know right now.
Do you have a completion date? When do you hope to have that done?
Probably not till next year. I haven't seen anywhere where we have a actual completion date yet.
Okay, so we'll keep that on the agenda, Brian, so that if you can keep us up to date, that's appreciated.
I want to say March of 25 is the completion date for that.
Yeah, I know it's drawn out, so
What is the plan for your current clinic? What will happen with that clinic?
good question. I don't think anybody knows yet.
And then second question, I did a Congressional Research Service request and LCO got $80 million in ARPA funds. Do you know is that what they're using to build this clinic, or do you know what's being used, those funds are being used for?
ARPA dollars aren't being involved in this project at all. I know the tribe has put together a lot of the money, health center additionally. They've gotten, or they're in the process of finalizing a loan right now. And then I believe there was an application going to be submitted for new market tax credits.
So no update on what that $80 million was used for?
Well, I mean, it's a mile-long list of the way that the ARPA funds were utilized. We utilized it to build our emergency operations center, the apartment buildings that are going up. There's a whole list of.
Thanks. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Brian. I just thought maybe there was something made public with those funds.
Okay, good. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate your input.
Mhm.
Any other questions, guys? Okay, let's move on then to Historical Society. Do you have any information?
They're still doing historical stuff.
Any news as to when the sled and the logs are going to arrive?
I think according to the gentleman that was here last month, I think they're waiting on,
Snow?
no, I think they have to have it set, and they're probably working with somebody that will set that and in the appropriate place so it doesn't block any viewing on that road. So
Okay.
I'm sure they're working on it that
So-
way.
Lynn, do we send them notice of the meetings? So I don't, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
they have a sign.
How about any future agenda items? Anybody have any suggestions?
I like the way it's laid out. I think that it's a good agenda. It's updates all the community systems that we have. in
How
place.
about the farmer's market? Lynn, do you know anything about that, Linda? Anybody know what about the farmer's market?
It's going on today from 11 till 3. No, they end at the end of this month. So it's done this month. I know that.
Okay,
'Cause
and they've had a good summer?
I think so. I buy a lot of vegetables from them.
Okay.
They sell
I
meat
was
there
gonna get
too.
mine down at the, at the Winter Library.
Yeah, you can't rob their garden. Watch out for him, Donna.
Okay,
I do have a question. If you're going on to number 19, the correspondences. So on those historical markers that are on the roads, do we have anything in writing that says that we're responsible for those? I mean, it's one thing for a board member to be working with somebody from out of county, but if we don't have anything in place, And wouldn't that be a DOT issue because they have to do sizing? Yeah.
Well, who were paid for to install them? The state? Who maintains them?
Well, I think that's what the question that was being researched earlier was, but without Troy's information here, we're just going by a non-county member telling us that we're responsible for those. And I just want to be clear on who's responsible for those. If it's the township that those markers are in, or if it's the state, if it's the DOT. So I think it's worth putting to rest. You know, if they do need repair, then we should be contacting somebody to repair them.
So who?
Good question. That's what I think Andy will find out because he's writing notes.
Did you find out, Andy, you think? I assume this is statewide, this problem. Who maintains them? Okay, good. We'll put it on the agenda.
Well, we can just discuss it. I don't think it has to be an agenda item. I don't, it's not, it just would be an update if you don't mind just leaving it as an update.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you all. We'll be adjourned. See you next month.
Thank you.